Welcome to this session of the Ancestral Healing Summit. I'm Lisa Bunnies, your host, and my guest for this session is Dr. Shelley Kaehr. Our topic today is Heal Your Ancestors to Heal Your Life. For over 2 decades, Shelley Kaehr, PhD, has worked with thousands of people around the world. A world-renowned past life regressionist, Shelley's method of combining energy work with hypnosis has been endorsed by numerous leaders in the field of consciousness, including near-death experience pioneer Dr. Raymond Moody and also Dr. Brian Weiss. Shelley's the author of numerous books on the mind-body connection, including Heal Your Ancestors to Heal Your Life, The Transformative Power of Genealogical Regression. Shelley, thank you so much for joining us to discuss this fascinating topic. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa. It is a complete joy to be here.
Absolutely. I can't wait to dive into genealogical regression. Wow. But before we do that, let's do some foundational work, if you don't mind. Talk first about how you were introduced to the idea of reincarnation and basic past life regression.
Yeah, this is something that was made aware to me in childhood. My parents, we moved around a lot and we lived in Colorado Springs. And my mother attended a luncheon with the hypnotherapist and the woman who were the subject of the book, The Search for Bridie Murphy, which was a very, very famous past life regression case back in the day. And so my mom attended the lunch, bought the book, and then I don't know what everyone else was doing at the family dinner table, Lisa, but we were sitting there talking about past lives, reincarnation, and the idea that the soul goes on. And there was just something about the minute we started talking about it, and I read the book when I was a kid, I just said, this feels true to me. And so it's just been a lifelong interest of mine and a lifelong belief that I've had.
Yeah, that's a heck of an introduction. Wow, I love that. I've always been fascinated by the story of Bridie Murphy as well. So in your experience, I know that there are many issues that can be cleared up and healed, whatever word you want to use for it, using past life regression. So in your experience, what are some of those issues?
I've really found that this is working on just about anything that people have going on in their lives. And so the biggest broad generalization I can give is that I feel like all people, no matter what kind of healing you are seeking, are looking for healing in either the area of love and relationships, health, or abundance, prosperity / security. So that's very generalized, of course, but I truly believe this is a method that can help everybody.
Right. Now, so your latest book describes, again, something I'm fascinated by, genealogical regression. So how did you come up with this process?
You know, I've been doing this for almost definitely between 15 and 20 years ago. I started doing this, and it's something, the book just came out. It hasn't been out that long. And so all these years, it was things that I had been doing without really telling people. What happens in a past life regression is, let's say you're coming in for whatever, love, health, money, relationships, whatever. And so the goal in that modality would be, I need to get you to the source event where whatever this challenge is actually happened. And so a lot of times people show up on my door because this is the last stop after they've looked everywhere else, and they think finally, well, maybe I need to go have a past life regression. And so if I then take you into the past to this source event where I believe this might come from, of course, I'm going to start with past life regression. But if intuitively I'm sensing, you know what, we're just not getting there, we're not hitting that actual source event, I always describe it like, it would be like going out and you've got weeds in the garden and the lawn and you just mow over them. They're going to come back. And so I've got to find the source event. So at that point, rare instance that I felt like I wasn't getting there, then I developed this many, many years ago, this concept. I just had it float into my mind that I should take people to a space where they're safe and they're going to meet with the higher selves or the soul level aspect of their parents, and then have a conversation with their parents, and then another whole healing in and of itself. But then I'd have them say, hey, mom and dad, I was just wondering, is there anybody in our family tree who needs healing right now? And then just have them notice, is it a yes or a no? And so let's say mom says, yes, I need a healing. Okay, great. Then rather than taking them back through that guided process into their past lives, where they're basically experiencing a visual image of themselves as someone else, in this case, they go with the higher self of their mother back into that past situation, and they start seeing people who they also maybe have never seen before. But when I ask them, well, who is that? They go, well, that's my ancestor. That's my 5 times great grandmother, or whoever it is. And usually, because we normally turn to any kind of healing modality because we need some healing ourselves. Hello. And so normally these are not exactly the most pleasant experiences, but when they do go back there, we're able to send love, light, grace, peace, and healing. And we send this light until we kind of come to a neutralized experience where things start to feel better and sense that there's been a slight shift. It doesn't mean we're going from, if a lot of times it's going back to wars and things like that. So yes, obviously that's very traumatic, but can we lighten that energy a little bit and then have the client then notice, wow, grandmother looks lighter. And then let's start bringing that light forward through time to all of the ancestors between that early time and today. And then what ends up happening is I have them look at, let's say, again, we're talking about a mom, then I have them notice their mom is getting lighter and lighter and lighter, brighter and brighter and brighter. And then they begin to bring that light to them. And then we can extend that as well, out to our family who's currently with us. Let's say our cousins, our grandparents, or our aunts and uncles, et cetera, our siblings, as well as sending that grace and light out into the future with the idea that, when we heal ourselves, and particularly when we can heal the past, we're really healing all time, because time, as you know, is an illusion. And so it's just bringing a lot of light and energy, and it just, like I said, even just the slightest shift can bring very, very transformational healing to people.
Yes, absolutely. I see the beauty in this work. I just want to make sure that it's clear what we're talking about here for people who are watching and are just learning about this idea, because we've all sort of known about past life regression for a long, long time. And basically that when you are in the hypnotic state, you are regressed to something that you specifically, your individual self, lived in a different incarnation, and you weren't necessarily related by blood to those beings, those different humans. But what we're talking about here is when you're being regressed, you're sort of traveling up the line of your family tree to people that you were not specifically, but that you are descended from, and you're carrying the energetic dysfunctional patterns. Is that an accurate assessment?
Lisa, you are awesome. That is amazing. Yes, yes. When people come for a past life regression, I use just guided imagery. It's like you're going on a meditation, and I'm your guided meditation. And so we just take you into a space where you are experiencing visual images, sometimes with the perspective that you're looking out your own eyes, but you are someone else in a totally different time period. And as you've explained so wonderfully, yes, this is, again, we're still in that same guided imagery where we're allowing pictures, thoughts, and feelings to bubble up. And yet when we go back and see these people who we do not know, they are not you. They are, as you've said, they are your ancestor. They're a grandparent. They're an ancestor. And typically the client in that state can often say, well, this is 5 generations back, or this is 3 generations back. And they can name sometimes the places where these ancestors were, and then notice the events that are troubling them. And then that's how we do it. And it's using the realm of the imagination, which is just so important. You're allowing pictures, thoughts, and feelings to come in without judgment. in a relaxed state. And then there's a lot of different things that can be revealed from that space.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. What sort of information can we discover during a genealogical regression? What's available to us?
It's really following along the same lines as a past life regression. In the book, Heal Your Ancestors, I talk about, again, 3 realms would be physical healing, mental, emotional healing, and or spiritual healing. So again, pretty much any issue that you have, if you're not finding the answers through past life or through other modalities, you can always say, it's about asking a question, is it possible that I'm being affected right now by things that happened to my ancestors? And through that questioning, then we can go back and try to see, is there a source event? And really, I mean, even if there isn't a source event to that specific thing, one of the powers of doing the ancestral healing is because we are connected to these people. We are descendants of them. And by sending them light to anything that was challenging in the past, whether it was actually going to help us specifically or not, we are then helped in ways that are really unimaginable because of this connection that we have through time to the people who have come before us.
Right, right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about how we pick up these traumas from our ancestors. I know that sometimes, generations back, something may have been a fairly relatively minor event, but say your great great grandmother has learned to react in a, sort of a PTSD kind of way to that. And that gets passed down through the generations. And it wasn't that big a deal generations ago, but it sort of snowballs, doesn't it? So that now we, generations later, don't have any idea why we do this when something similar happens. How can we clear those up by using the genealogical regression?
Yeah, what you're saying is so important. There are studies that are being done now that are showing that up to 50% of our actual personality is brought through our DNA. And of course, we can use healing techniques to transcend those things. But what ends up happening is very much like what you've just described. You're having a challenge in the here and now. Maybe you're aware that your parent and or grandparent has had that similar challenge, and then it just snowballs. It could be something as simple as a negative emotion that an ancestor felt, or it could be something as, big picture as a war or something. But the energetic, we have energy fields within and around us. And when we have these stressors coming in, those thoughts, although they are not physically seen, they create energetic blockages in our fields. And it's hard to imagine, this might be a new concept for people. Like you said, we've been talking about past lives. We know we can heal at that level, but we really are sometimes embodying these blockages and carrying them forward from the ancestors. And you're exactly right. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. And I feel like, we are becoming so conscious through the Shift Network and others, joining together. We are here at this time for a reason to shift the consciousness dramatically. And I truly believe that when we wake up to the ideas that we're discussing in this Ancestral Healing Summit, all of the amazing speakers you have, it's bringing forward this message that if we can come together, shift these energies that have happened to those who have come before us, there is a huge shift that will come from that. Because I feel like we are living in a time of great prosperity in the sense that we have the luxury to have this level of conversation right now is a luxury. And so we have an opportunity on behalf of those who have come before us to really make huge impacts that are going to ripple out to all humanity, and it's very, very important. And so I'm just excited to be here. I think the summit, I'm so happy to see that the Western world is really opening up to these ideas more. It's just absolutely phenomenal.
Yes, absolutely. I know that we in North America, at least white-skinned people, European descent, et cetera, we've sort of lost touch with ancestral reverence over the years, and I'm very glad to see that we're reconnecting with this wisdom that indigenous people all over the world really never lost touch with. And I sincerely hope that our doing that is one of the last pieces in this puzzle. That as we heal our stuff, the ripple effects will yeah, really help the entire planet. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. Now I want to talk about your book because I've read the book. It's got some wonderful examples of case studies, and if you don't mind, I'd love it if you'd share one or two with us.
Yes, I would love to do that. One of my favorites, we're talking about the reasons why people seek regression. So this one's kind of a combo of a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual all in one. So there was a woman, she was an ER nurse. And I think that every person alive at some point, no matter what career you're in, at some point you're going to ask the question, is this what I need to be doing? Do I still need to be doing this rather than something else? And so this is something that definitely brings people to see me because they want to know, is there something in my soul memory in a past life, maybe gifts and talents that we can tap into? And so people look into that. Simultaneously, this lady had migraines. They weren't really debilitating, but it was a challenge. And so, of course, she wanted to see if there was a source event that we could get back to let that go. And these kinds of issues, Lisa, one of the interesting things is, again, I'm going to always go to the past lives first. So we go and look at that. That's fine. But then somehow during the conversation, she happened to mention this idea about how we do really carry on things from our ancestors. And her mother had been a nurse, her grandmother had been a nurse. And so they were a very caring, giving family. And this was kind of like the family business. And so we ended up meeting with mom and grandmother. And we traveled back into the past several generations where she was able to go to a Civil War battlefield and see one of her grandmothers, her several greats grandmother, out there on the battlefield, selflessly giving to others and tending the wounded. And so she came back from that. The answer was yes, that the migraines were, again, I mentioned a minute ago, we get chinks in our energetic armor. So there was a chink in the armor. It was contributing to these mild migraines. And yet the bigger picture, and what's so interesting about this modality, rather than taking them into past lives, and you kind of touched on it earlier as well, is that because these are ancestors, these are not strangers. This is not just somebody who I think I used to be in a past life. It's very, very emotional. And she just got really choked up and emotional about the idea about her family selflessly giving of others. And so she came out of the experience having accessed that source event, yes, but in a bigger picture, having answered the question, should I stay as a nurse or not? And she said, how can I ever complain again? Or how can I ever say anything when I see how selflessly she was behaving? And so she walked out of there just having a knowing that transcends, conscious awareness, let's say, that gave her a lot of inner peace. And so that was one of my very, very favorite ones.
Yeah, that was a particularly good one. I'm also recalling the one where the young man traveled to China, but he also got really sick while he was there. And I want to talk about that if you don't mind, that apparently it's common for people to become sick when they visit their ancestral homeland. And selfishly, I want to talk about this because the same thing happened to me. I went to Scotland and got sick and spent like 3 weeks too sick to really enjoy my trip. And I mean, I understand there's a bigger picture, but is there any sort of preparatory work that we can do before traveling to, connect with our ancestors so that we can, more deeply, not just enjoy the trip, but to really learn from it instead of spending the whole time being sick? As you mentioned, this young man in China, I mean, he was almost devastatedly sick.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. Okay. Because I've been also doing research into this concept of spontaneous past life memories, which I call retrovision. So I think we have two different things that can be happening to people when they travel. One could be we're going back to a place in the past that we have had a past life. And if it was a wonderful past life, then usually we're packing our bags and we want to move there. But sometimes if it's a challenging past life, then yes, we might come down with illnesses, different things can be happening to us. And so we can take it from, again, from that perspective that we're going to heal our own past lives. But in this case, yes. And in some cases, if we know, I think you mentioned Scotland. I mean, I have ancestors in Scotland. If we know, for example, that these are places where our ancestors had lived in the past, as the man in the book did, we can definitely start to then understand that, wait a minute, if something happened to my ancestor in the past in this area, then there's healing that needs to be done. And there's many exercises in the book where we try to just, again, shed light over challenging situations, bring understanding, imagining energetic cords between ourselves and what I call unwanted influences. And then again, just bringing the awareness, sometimes just having the awareness this is happening can also just bring about a healing, as we know that, we do not need to continue to be affected by certain things. We're going to let them go and transform them. And so it's a really good point. And I think it happens to people all the time that we're getting bombarded by these inputs. And one aspect, again, it could be the past lives, but it certainly can be things that are brought in from the ancestors. Absolutely.
I wonder if you have, in any of your experience, come across somebody who, in a past life, was one of their own ancestors.
Yes, 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 yes. What's been so interesting, Lisa, is that since this book came out, I mentioned earlier in our talk here, I was doing this technique when I was guided to do it intuitively. But since the book came out, people are really seeking this work a lot more. And I think it's, again, we can talk about the work that the Shift Network and others are doing to bring awareness to this to the West. But I have been doing so many genealogical regressions lately that not too long ago, yes, I had a woman who went into her own past lives, went and met with the ancestors and realized that she was one of the ancestors in her own past life. And so that is an interesting thing, because I do believe, we choose our circumstance, we choose our friends, and we certainly choose our families. And I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I feel like we're here as an embodiment. We've chosen to be part of this lineage to help to transmute some of these heavier energies and bring about change. And so in this case, if you've been in your own past life as one of your own ancestors, you really are energetically and spiritually committed to helping the whole lineage shift and change.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for addressing that one. I find that particularly interesting. So let's talk about the families that we are born into, that we've got this sort of spiritual work that we have intended. But why are families so challenging? How does that work with genealogical regression?
Not your family, Lisa, not my family. No, that could never happen. Oh my goodness, my friend, I'll tell you what, our families are here to push our buttons. I believe we're here to learn lessons, to engage with others, to heal. And sometimes, as we know, some of the best lessons we get are from some of the most challenging situations. And I believe we make soul contracts with people. And sometimes they need to push our buttons, because unfortunately, it would be wonderful if we could all just decide that we are going to, make transformation, take a healing class and do the work that we need to do. But I think sometimes, unfortunately, we are motivated by pain. Just that's more of how we do it. So normally we need something to be a little bit painful and a little bit challenging. And there's certain, rising above petty concerns and all the other things that our lovely families get to help us with. I think they're here for a reason. And really, you think about the difficult people in your life and you could say, wow, they're making my life so difficult. This is really horrible. But the truth is, the people who are here pushing our buttons are the ones who love us the most at a soul level. They're here with us for a reason. And if we can learn to transform those things and learn our lessons, then everybody's better.
Yeah, that helps make it a little more more palatable, doesn't it? Well, I'm wondering then, what can we do? I mean, I know that your book offers some suggestions on what we can do on our own, looking into genealogical regression of our own families. Do you have any tips, pointers, et cetera, that you'd like to share?
Would we like to go on a guided journey?
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, I would love to take us all on a guided journey. I love journey work. What we'll do, again, there's many different ways to do this, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a relaxing little journey together into a very loving, safe space where we're just going to bless our ancestors and send them light and healing. And so that it'll give the viewers out there as much as possible in our space that we have today. So before we go on our guided journey, just a quick note. So everybody just relax, listen to the sound of my voice. And we're just allowing pictures, thoughts, and feelings to emerge without judgment. Some of you see visual images. Wonderful. That has never been how I am. Some of you will have an inner knowing, or you might hear the inner voice. So however it is you do this is wonderful. And so we're just going to relax, and it's going to be very, very loving and enjoyable. All righty. So let's do this. Okay, so go ahead, and I hope you're sitting in your comfortable space. And so go ahead and just settle in and close your eyes. And take a deep healing breath in through your nose. And you're breathing in love and joy and peace and light. And exhaling tensions. And take another deep breath into your nose. And exhale. Very good. And I want you to imagine that there's a beam of pure white light that's coming down through the top of your head. And you can feel that light moving down, 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 down into your forehead, into your eyes, your nose, your jaw, into your neck and shoulders, down, 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 down. Into your arms, down, down, down your spine, into your heart center, into your stomach, down, 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 down. Through your lungs as you continue to breathe in joy and peace and happiness. And you're exhaling tensions. Very nice. And you're allowing that loving light to continue down your spine, moving through your legs, through your knees, your ankles, and down into the soles of your feet. And imagine that this loving light is just pouring through you, carrying away tensions, and it begins to pour out of your heart center, creating a beautiful golden ball of light that surrounds you by about 3 feet in all directions. So just feel yourself floating inside this golden bubble of light, safe and secure. You're totally carefree, and you know that within this golden light, only that which is of your highest good can come through. So I want you to imagine that there is a doorway in front of you. You may see the door, you may feel the door, or you could just have an inner knowing. There is a doorway there. And in just a moment, we're going to open up that door, and you will be going inside a theater that has a very wonderful high frequency energy that you will enjoy. And on the count of 3, we're going to open up that door and go into the theater. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We're opening the door. And you're walking or floating inside this beautiful room. And you notice this theater there. You can gaze over at the stage and imagine that you can just very gently walk through the theater and find a comfortable seat and take a seat. Very nice. And as you're enjoying this loving energy of this theater, you're filled with a peaceful, relaxing sensation as you gaze down toward the stage. And in just a moment, what we're going to do is we are going to invite all of your ancestors to join you today, and they're going to join you on the stage. Ready? So let's invite them in now. So here they come. Here come your parents. And know that this is their higher selves. So even if they've crossed into spirit, just know that they are there. This is their soul or their higher selves who are joining you. We're welcoming your parents, your siblings, if you have them, any aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents and great-grandparents. And imagine now we continue to invite earlier generations of the family, knowing that this stage is unlimited in size. So we can invite everyone, and they will easily fit into this lovely theater. Grandparents, 2 generations back, 3 generations, 4, 5, and so forth, flooding the stage. Very good. And imagine as all of these souls continue to join you, that in a moment, when I count to 3, you will know that all of your ancestors who wish to be here today will be here today. Ready? 1, here they come. 2, more of them are joining you now. And 3, they're there. Very nice. So I want you to take a moment and just gaze at the stage. And I want you to feel a sense of gratitude and awe, maybe even humbleness, as you gaze out to all of the ancestors who are joining you today. And imagine you can express that gratitude to everyone for being a part of your soul journey, for all they have done, those who have come before you, to pave the way for this life, this wonderful life that you're living now. So take a moment and just express that gratitude. Very good. And I want you to imagine if there is one ancestor who needs a healing today, imagine that whoever most needs the healing can come forward to the very front of the stage. And they may like to share what this healing is about. This might be someone you actually know in this current life, or it could be an ancestor from long, long ago. But notice by the time I count to 3, this ancestor is going to come forward and make themselves known to you. Ready? 3, 2, 1. They're there at the front of the stage. So take a moment and allow them to express themselves in terms of what they need to heal. They may tell you about a situation, or it could be an emotion or feeling, but just take a moment and notice what you notice. Very nice. So imagine as they've expressed themselves, you notice a beautiful beam of white light is coming down from above, and it's just pouring through your loving ancestor, just carrying away their burdens, and they're getting lighter and 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 lighter. Brighter and 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 brighter, so that they're so light and bright. And that loving light just pours out to all who have joined you today. Everyone getting lighter and 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 lighter. Brighter and 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 brighter. So light, so bright. The room is filled with joy and light and peace. And you begin to feel that light within yourself as well. And I want you to imagine that there is an energetic cord. It's coming out of your solar plexus area, and it's connecting you with all of the ancestors who have joined you today. And in just a moment, there's a big pair of golden scissors that's floating down. We're just going to cut this cord and release the ancestors and release you from all of the things of the past. We're going to bless the past, send a loving, healing vibration to all who have joined you today, and continue this wonderful healing sensation that's being received right now by all of your ancestors. Ready? And on the count of 3, we're going to cut this cord. Ready? 3, 2, 1, cut. And again, a beautiful light pouring down from above. It's moving in through that cut cord, all over the stage to every ancestor. The ancestors, thank you so much as they are getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. You are getting lighter and lighter and lighter, brighter and brighter and brighter. Feel your heart center just opening, expanding, and relaxing. Every single cell in your being filled with love and joy and peace and light. And you're just spreading that love and light to your ancestors. And they are so grateful for you. And they want to express their gratitude to you for helping them today. And they're saying, bye-bye, we love you. And this loving light is just pouring through the auditorium. It's moving throughout this stage. And these ancestors are getting lighter and lighter and lighter. So light, so bright that they're just lifting up. And they're just floating away, wishing you well, sending you unconditional love and healing and joy. They want to thank you. And feel that love coming towards you now as you just bring that loving, peaceful light within yourself. And you feel lighter than ever before. Go ahead and stand from your wonderful, comfortable seat in the auditorium. You're just going to turn and go back toward the door where you entered. You're carrying this loving feeling of knowing that you are loved by your ancestors and all who have come before you. And you just carry this peace in your heart as you open that door. Go back out to where you started, closing the door behind you. Go back out to where you started and be there now. And just know that you are still surrounded by that loving golden ball of light. And you know that within the golden light, that only that which is of your highest good can come through. And yet now you are filled with the love and peace and wisdom of your ancestors. And you know you're loved, and you can carry that with you now throughout your day, now and always. You're grounded, centered, and balanced. And in a moment, when I count back from 3, you will come back into the room and you will feel awake, refreshed, and better than you felt before. Ready? 3, you're grounded, centered, and balanced. 2, you will be processing this loving, healing, vibrational energy in your dreams tonight. So by tomorrow morning, you will be fully integrated into this new way of being in the world. 3, grounded, centered, and balanced. 2, 1, and we're coming back. Yay, you did it. You're back. I hope you're back. All right. So I hope that was helpful. So just remember, you can do this every day, and it doesn't even have to take as long as what I'm describing. Just think about the ancestors, send them that love and peace. And again, because we're all connected, and especially to your ancestors, I hope that made you feel just a little bit more peaceful. Bring up what I always say, like just bring a little more space into this current moment, so that when you're going about your day to day, I hope you just have the feeling of knowing that you really are loved by your ancestors. And it's been a joy to take you on this journey, and I hope it helped you, and I wish you the best with it.
Thank you, Shelley. That was so powerful that even though, we're recording an interview and there's cameras and lights, et cetera, and I'm not able to fully drop in, even so, I was able to connect with a great, I don't even know how many greats, grandmother from a line of my family that I haven't done any exploration into because there's just no genealogical, there's no ancestry.com records on this woman, but she had something horrible happen to her and her family, wartime, et cetera. And she felt still, all these hundreds of years later, so angry that she'd never been heard. Look what happened to me and to my children. Look what they did. And just by doing this little process, she felt like, somebody finally listened to me, and she was able to just let go, and it just went poof. And I'm having tears coming to my eyes. And again, this is without even really being able to really focus. So I can't wait to listen to this again and do it properly. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Wow, Lisa, I'm so happy. Thank you for sharing that. I mean,
Yeah.
that is so powerful, isn't it? I mean, the thing is, we have so many different things in our lives, and that are demanding our attention. And so it's nice to see once in a while when something pops out like that. And I guess, like she said, just to be heard.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
And
that's a lot of it.
to be witnessed, for somebody to recognize, yeah, something horrible really did happen. And yeah, well, okay, I'm not going to get into it. Thank you so much for that. We're running low on time, so I want to make sure that before we go any further that I mention your website. And this is easy, pastlifelady.com. I love that. What will people find if they visit your website?
Yes, thank you. So they can go to pastlifelady.com. I have a podcast every Sunday. They can listen to that. I have an online school. I do private sessions and a blog. So I'm there, Lisa. They can come and find me.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Shelley. Your topic is fascinating. I can't wait to dive into it even more. Before we go, is there anything I'm sure there's plenty we've left out, but is there anything that you want to make sure that we cover before we wrap up?
I guess I want to bring up the simplicity of this. This doesn't need to even take as long as what you and I spent together on the guided journey. just 2 minutes in the morning, a minute in the morning during maybe part of a meditative practice, just to take a moment and just, extend love, extend light to ancestors is part of a huge aspect of healing that I think is going to make the shift that we want to make on this planet. So very, very simple to do. And just like your grandmother, just takes a minute just to just notice it, bless it, and we can transform this world, Lisa. I know it.
That's what we're here to do. Thank you again, Shelley. This really has been a delightful conversation. Thanks for being with us today.
Lisa, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you and to the Shift Network. Everything you're doing is phenomenal. And I send everyone out there many, many blessings.
Thank you again, Shelley, for being with us. And I want to remind everyone that I've been talking with Dr. Shelley Kaehr, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this conversation in the Ancestral Healing Summit.